Hi, everybody. This is Lynn Shaye, and you are listening to The Movie Rate.
It's time for the movie rate, and tonight's victim is actress Lynn Shaye, that has played in dozens upon dozens of films, such as 2001 Maniac, such as Dreamcatcher, such as Penny Dreadful, amongst many others. Hello.
Hi. Hi. It's nice to talk to you.
Oh, yeah. So what have we been up to lately? I mean, are we definitely pushing out the new show that you're currently involved in, Penny Dreadful, as well?
Lately, I've been planting flowers in my garden. That's what I've been doing lately. Penny Dreadful has started. This is the third episode this week. It's running on Showtime, and it's a really elegant and sad, scary, magnificent show. I'm really proud to be a part of it, so I'm happy to promote it. If you're not familiar with the series, or if you are, it's not anything to do with the first 3 years, which was a different storyline altogether. This is really about Los Angeles in 1938, the rise of Nazism, which was happening here in L.A. It's historically correct, basically, and also about the Hispanic community, which was being moved out of their homes by corruption in the government, in city government. It's a really powerful piece, and I think you'll all really enjoy it. So I'm proud to be a part of it.
Pretty fantastic. And the fact is, did you take on to this because of the fact that it's actually historically correct? Because oftentimes they just throw some stuff in there just to kind of beef it up, or maybe not entirely accurate, but just almost, and so forth. But you like this, the fact that this is what's going the right direction for this for you?
I mean, actually, John Logan, who is the showrunner and creator of the show, wrote this because of what's going on in our government right now and the responsibility of citizens who are turning backwards instead of forwards in terms of human rights, and it's a really sad time I'm feeling in real life, and I thought this was a really exciting reflection theatrically of what's going on right now. John Logan is an extraordinary man. I've never met anyone in my whole career that's as astute as he is. A crazy word to use, but he's on all burners. I did like very much that it's about what's happening right now. They have a wonderful character, and I also get to work with Nathan Lane, so that to me, those were the elements, and I got invited in, so all of those things were all yes answers. He gave me a big yes.
All these roles that you previously already have, is this much more at ease for you as a performer, and especially in television and doing TV shows in this particular type of show? Is this more at ease for you compared to all the work you've put in throughout decades of other roles, especially horror and so forth?
You know what, actually quite the opposite. I've never been that interested in television, to be honest. I really prefer films, more room for my own input and sort of creativity. Television is a writer's medium, and even John Logan made that very clear to all of us, that this is not improv. You say every word he wrote, because he wrote it because that was what he meant to say. So it was actually a little bit of a difficult transition for me, because I'm used to freewheeling a little bit. I've learned to appreciate that I'm actually a very good storyteller, and I'm pretty good at seeing in a script if there's holes in the character or holes in the story that we're telling, and often am able, you're still a hired person, so you find an elegant way to express your ideas always and be respectful, but that there's usually there's a place for them. In this particular situation, I mean, John, he didn't direct every episode, but he is involved in every single moment when you're on set. It's also a gigantic show. They built an entire city. They built the entire city of Los Angeles, 1938, the old Hopalong Cassidy lot in Santa Clarita. So they literally built a city. The wardrobe and everything is 100% accurate to 1938. You know, I was filling a slot as opposed to also being, I mean, I was still a creative actor, hopefully, and you have to, you know, again, if you have ideas, the people around you were very open to listening, but it's not your show. I had to keep my mouth shut sometimes in ways that I'm not really used to. I mean, I've gotten used to sort of expressing something, you know, if I don't think something's right, I'm never rude, but it's like, I say, you know, this doesn't really work. Well, that's not how you can operate on the set. You know, on the set, you come in, they've got everything set up, they move fast, even though this is it's Showtime, it's definitely more lenient than like a 30-minute sitcom or whatever, you know, a 30-minute show where you've got 4 commercials during 30 minutes, so you've got 22 minutes to tell your story. You know, that's also, there's a real time pressure that's different than on film, and that was hard for me. I enjoy the wallowing a little bit, but I was in such great company with really royalty, in my opinion. I mean, Nathan Lane he's royalty. I mean, I was very quiet around him. He tells stories, you know, about Frank Sinatra, and I mean, it was really, it's really, I say talent. I mean, he is so talented. There's nothing he can't do, and so I tried to be a good listener as well as a team player.
As far as the creative process, like character creativity, is character creativity most effective in, especially like in horror genres or any other genres that you feel most comfortable with, or even putting yourself as the viewer in terms of where the creative flow could actually be or come from?
It's kind of a little bit of everything. I mean, you basically have a framework, which is your script, a story you need to tell, and then it kind of pares down from there, like who are you within that story? Who are the people around you that you affect? Who are the people around you that affect you and affect your character? There's no one answer to that. There's a certain amount of development you can do sitting in your living room, with a pencil and pen when you're reading the material, but that sort of becomes background work, because when you're on set, everything's different than you think. It's never the way you think it's going to be. No matter how much you think you know about how it's going to be, it's never the way you think it's going to be. And so you've got to be very adaptable. Hang on to the elements that you feel are the backbone of your character. That's very important. I mean, you can't just be, freewheeling. You've made decisions based on the material and on the story you're telling. But you've also got to be open to stuff happening, and that's where some of the magic happens too. When you get too locked into something, you're so sure this is how it's going to go, you miss opportunities. It's a very fluid process, and I honestly never know the answers. I'm always terrified because I don't know the answers, and you got to put yourself in that place where you are a good receiver and a good giver. Got to be able to give and take in the moment, on the spot, and that's usually where the best things happen.
Would you say even today's filmmaking, that adaptivity, do you think it kind of lacks a little bit, and depending on the films, of course, but in order to not just get better roles, but to be accepted as well from other companies and even the audience to connect with?
I think you're coming together with a bunch of different people with all different ideas, and the key is yet you've got to make a piece that's cohesive, that has, where we all contribute, but yet reaches an end result. It's really up to the filmmaker and the editor, ultimately. I mean, so as an actress, I can give, actually going to Dreamcatcher, which is this film that's running on VOD right now and doing extremely well. People seem to really like it. There are elements in it, when we read the script, see, this was for me an opportunity also, sort of talking about film versus television. Carrie Harris, who directed it and who was one of the co-writers, he and the writer were very open to all my thoughts and ideas, and so we sort of filled in the blanks together, and you saw something was missing. So it was very much a team effort. Often, if a project is brought to you, sometimes you don't have that much creative input. So it's kind of a mix. It depends on the chemistry of the people you're working with, how open people are to your, to what you want to bring. You have to be very flexible. And I think that's always the case, whether it's filmmakers now or filmmakers before. It truly is magic when it all comes together, because you don't, again, it's all these aspects of different people's ideas, from wardrobe to props to, every element of filmmaking. And so I think, you try to fulfill both your own expectations and also the people you're working with. But I think nothing has really changed. I think making a film is probably always the same. Even when you have only a little bit of money, the idea of what you're creating is it's a team sport, basically.
Oh, without a doubt. And the fact is, like, you as the performer, as the artist, having to make that character become alive, but you got an entire crew that also can make that character alive. It's not just you alone, even though that you are on that screen yourself.
Totally. Oh, no, it's totally a team sport. I mean, totally. And, that's part of the fun, too. There's a little movie I did years ago called Critters, and the character was this woman, as written, a little small town, and she's the operator, the phone operator in the town. It's got one phone operator, not everybody has a phone. It's real small town America. And I don't know where it came from, between me and the hair and makeup. I said, what if she really wishes she reads fantasy magazines. She's got no real life. She loves romance novels, and actually I did another film just recently that had that same kind of idea to it. But her name is Sal. This character's name was Sal, and that she dresses up like she lives in the 30s. And we came up with this crazy look. That was this red suit that was from the 30s. She found it in a thrift store, and we did my hair. I dyed my hair red with like a henna dye, and we did an updo and big red lips and, and nail polish. I mean, it was this whole look that really had nothing to do with what we were reading when I read the material, but it came from collaboration. It came from, what if we try this? Well, if we try that, what about this? What about, everything sort of snowballs on itself. So you are definitely not a ship alone in the water. And if you think you are, you're in the wrong business. I think actors, especially whose egos get in the way, are making a big mistake. I mean, and usually people don't want to work with them very much either, because it's not like you run to your trailer when you're done and you're done. It's a real community, and that part of it is really fun and can be got the good, bad, and the ugly with it too. You get to know each other pretty well, especially if you're on location and all kind of hold up together. But it's a universe unto itself. I really love it. I really, really love it. When you're all finished, it seems like you were somewhere. You really were somewhere else for a given period of time. But yeah, it's not you alone. It's you and the team.
It's very different. But do you think, like, even today's filmmaking, do you think they kind of focus too much on the stylizing the character in order to help push the image of that actor too?
No, I don't. I really don't. I don't think that's the thought process that goes into the creation of the films. And everybody comes from different experiences of their different amount of, some have gone to film school, some have never picked up a camera before. There's all kinds of people with different levels of experience that come into making a film. I think you find it as you go. I worked with James Wan, who is also an artist. People don't know that about him. He's a really gifted artist. And his storyboards were like works of art. And he had every shot. I mean, he actually published a bunch of them on, I guess it was on Facebook or whatever, not very long ago, just to share them. And if all creative burners are on, not every director has that kind of gift or creates that kind of, preface to shooting their film. But there's so many aspects to it. I think everything changes because there's more technology. Listen, you can make a movie on your iPhone right now, and not even maybe. I mean, 100%. And, the years ago, you had everything was, the edit room was cut and splice. It was film. You guys forget, I'm a whole lot older than all of you, and remember, the labor of editing a film was insane. I mean, those guys were crazy people. They lived in a dark room, for hours and hours and hours with little pieces of film, slicing, literally cutting and gluing. I mean, that's how you put the film together. That part of filmmaking has changed dramatically. I mean, now with digital cameras and, it's so much easier. I mean, you can edit on your computer. I did a little film called Room for Rent, which, by the way, I'm still promoting. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a little film for no money that we made, pretty much. Again, we were talking about the edit because Tommy Stovall, the director, he edited it on his laptop. And it's pretty wonderful. It came out great. So the technology is so different now. It gives you many more options in terms of what you create.
Can an artist, when their success is running pretty well, do you think it can actually easily be manipulated or actually be control-driven from one project to another?
Well, the directors, listen, they can do whatever they want with the footage. Unless you're a producer on it and have some control, yeah, they can take your performance and do whatever they want with it, pretty much. So they can definitely manipulate the way you come across in a picture. It's pretty sad sometimes. I mean, I haven't had too many bad experiences like that, but often there will be a scene or something where you go, oh, why didn't they leave that in? Like in The Grudge, there was a scene I had that was just beautiful, and it wasn't in the final cut because Nicholas Pesh, he just said, you still got to tell your movie in an hour and 30 minutes or an hour and 20 minutes, whatever, and you've still got a format to follow. So it wasn't in. And that was tough because I felt that manipulated. You didn't know as much about my character as was in the original story. And so, there's many ways you can have the same footage and tell 12 different stories with that footage. As an actress, you don't have that kind of control unless you are, again, a producer and you make it clear that that's the control you want to be a part of. You want to be in on the edit. You want to be in on the manipulations, as you call it. On Penny Dreadful, I did what I could do. I did what John asked me to do. It's a great character. Her name is Dottie Minter, and she's a Nazi hunter from 1938 with Nathan Lane. They're like partners, and the look is great. She was born in 1865, so that was fun to work with. But, I gave what I could give, and then they cut and use what they need. You're always risking the control that you do not have over the end product, or the way something's distributed. There was a little movie I did years ago called Dead End. It's become one of the most popular films I've ever been in, and when we finished it, it kind of disappeared. They didn't really do anything with it. And I've done another film with Richard Dreyfuss, this beautiful film called The Killing of Winston Jones. The producer just decided he didn't want to do anything with it, so it's sitting on somebody's shelf. This is Richard Dreyfuss and a beautiful cast, a fantastic story, and it's painful. I had a great character in it. I played Richard's wife, and she did not speak through the whole story, and you don't really know why she doesn't speak, but she narrates the whole film. It was a beautiful film. I'm still to this day not over that one. Shot it for 6 weeks in South Carolina, and a great cast, and a lot of money spent, and nothing happens. That's stuff you have no control over.
Go ahead and plug in any websites or anything that you care to add as well to the listeners as well.
I have a Facebook account. It's just the one, and there's always 5,000 people somewhere. Sometimes in the beginning, it's become a fan page pretty much. You can always follow that. I have an Instagram account. It's Ms. Lynn Shaye, MsLinshaye. You're so welcome to follow me on Instagram, and I hope you'll watch Room for Rent on Primetime. I hope you'll watch Penny Dreadful on Showtime, and the episodes are running. I'm not in this week's episode. I was in last week's, and then I'm in 6 of the 10, so I think you'll have fun following the story. It's a beautiful story. Dreamcatcher is still out there with Rhoda Mitchell and Henry Thomas. The Grudge is still out there doing whatever. And everybody, this is just a little note. I've never in my lifetime had anything happen like this pandemic. I have one thing to say. Every day feels like Groundhog Day in a way, but it's an opportunity to not be pushed, to really have time to think about stuff we're talking about. Like, what do you want to do? What's important? If there's a story you've been thinking about, sit down and try and write it. This is a very rare opportunity also to follow some dreams you may have. Write a song. Maybe, who knows? The thing is, with anything artistic or anything that's directly out of your imagination and your life experience, no one else has that. That's only you. And all of you are special, and all of us are special. It's very emotional. Please take the opportunity to investigate those parts of yourself that we have to shut down because we're so busy every day being pushed to do stuff that sometimes you don't want to have to do, but you have to do it. Everybody stay safe and well, and thank you very, very much, Mike, for your lovely interview, and I wish everybody well.
And there you have it, everybody. That is actress Lynn Shaye.